According to a report from Marca, UEFA has sanctioned Lamine Yamal and Robert Lewandowski with fines of Euros 5,000 each for breaching the anti-doping regulations after Barcelona's most recent UEFA Champions League match. That announcement landed like the referee's whistle cutting through the hazy noise after a game, sudden, clear, and impossible to ignore. The fixture in question was the high-stakes second leg of the Champions League semi-final, played away in Italy against Inter Milan, a night that unfolded with all the push and pull of a well-staged drama and eventually snapped Barcelona's hopes with a 4-3 defeat after extra time. Fans left the stadium stunned, players walked off exhausted, and in the hours that followed, UEFA turned its attention to conduct beyond the 90 minutes, drawing lines in rule books and writing penalties that would touch players, coaches, and the club itself. What seemed like routine post-match procedure has been transformed into official headlines. But how did that happen, and what exactly was judged? Now, as Marca reports, UEFA has imposed a fine of Euros 5,000 on both Lamine Yamal and Robert Lewandowski for specific breaches of the anti-doping regulations. The governing body's wording is precise. This is not presented as a finding that either player tested positive for a banned substance, but rather as a determination about failing to follow required procedures during the doping control process. UEFA decision points to two technical but important infractions. The players allegedly failed to follow the instructions of the doping control officer as set out in Article 21.8, and they did not proceed immediately to the doping control station as required by Article 21.10a. Those article numbers can sound like dry legal shorthand, yet they capture a straightforward idea. When testing officials give directions, athletes must comply without delay. The resulting Euros 5,000 fines are relatively modest in financial terms, but they carry a disciplinary message. Procedural compliance is taken seriously at the elite level, and even a momentary lapse in following a directive can become a formal infraction. How does a procedural misstep echo through a club shaken by a late elimination? Sanctions did not stop with the players. Barcelona's manager, Hansi has been fined Euros 20,000 and handed a one-match suspension from UEFA club competitions for conduct deemed inappropriate during the same match. UEFA Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body found Flick guilty of breaching the general principles of conduct under Article 11, 1dr, and of violating the basic rules of decent conduct under Article 11, 2bdr. In plain terms, the governing body judged aspects of Flick's behaviour to fall short of the standards expected on the competition touchline. Marcus Sorg, Flick's assistant, was hit with the identical financial and sporting penalty for the same reasons, meaning both senior staff members are to serve suspensions away from the bench. The decisions take immediate effect, so the written ruling becomes an instant tactical reality. Flick and Sorg will not be permitted on their customary bench for Barcelona's next European fixture. That enforced absence will shape the club's preparation, forcing coaches to adapt their touchline leadership and, perhaps more quietly, to coach from an unfamiliar vantage point. The disciplinary net also caught the club itself, with UEFA ruling imposing fines tied to supporter behaviour at the same game. Barcelona must pay Euros 5,250 for incidents of fans throwing objects cited under Article 16(2). BDR, and a further Euros 2,500 for the lighting of fireworks under Article 16(2). CDR. These amounts might read small against the club's budget, but they are formal reminders that crowd conduct is part of the regulatory ecosystem. Actions in the stands can translate directly into obligations in the club's ledger. Beyond the columns of figures and the list of article numbers, there is a human texture to all of this. The tight throat of a coach denied his usual place on the touchline, the awkward questions for players who must explain why they delayed in following testing procedures, and the murmured debates among fans who will argue about fairness and culpability in bars and online. UEFA Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body has put a line under this particular clash in legal terms, but the echoes will be felt in dressing rooms and training sessions as Barcelona prepares for its next European outing. These sanctions, reported by Marca and enforced by UEFA Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body, are immediate and specific, but not the end of the story. Barcelona may appeal, legal teams will pass each article, and supporters will argue over fairness. Perhaps statements will follow, perhaps not. It is a sharp lesson in how governance and human error collide, how passion in the stands and a momentary procedural slip can turn into formal penalties, and the next chapter is already looming very soon.